The Nutcracker in the Four Realms is based off the Nutcracker story. At least I assume it is, because I'm not too familiar with that story myself. But anyway, it's directed by both Lasse Hallström, whose last movie was A Dog's Purpose, which I never saw, but it's also directed by Johnston, who did stuff like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, October Sky, Jurassic Park 3, Jumanji, Captain America the First Avenger. So you can tell I'm definitely more familiar with his work, even if he only did 32 days of reshoots. It stars Mackenzie Foy, who plays Clara, a young girl who finds her way into this magical world that's occupied by four realms, and apparently her mother was queen of that world. But Mother Ginger, ruler of the fourth realm, has declared war on the other three realms, so it's up to Clara to try to stop Mother Ginger. I am not familiar with the Nutcracker story at all, but I am familiar with the music. I mean, it plays every year during Christmas, so I don't know how anybody can go through Christmas without hearing that music, or without even knowing it. But in terms of this movie here, I wasn't too enthusiastic about it because it just looked like all the other big live-action movies that Disney has produced. Beauty and the Beast, Alice in Wonderland, Maleficent, even down to the font looking identical to those movies. But, at the same time, this isn't based on one of their previous animated films, so it has the chance to be its own thing. So after seeing this movie and hearing what other people have said, they say it is its own thing, but not in a very good way. This movie reminded me so much of Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, but I'll get back to that a little bit. I want to talk about the positives first of all. One thing that defines the Nutcracker, as I mentioned before, is the music, and the score here is done by James Newton Howard, and it's pretty good. They do use renditions of the Nutcracker ballet, but some of the original music in this movie sounds very close to that ballet, and it's just probably the best part of the film. And there are a few sections throughout where they actually perform the Nutcracker ballet, which I think they really put a lot more effort in than other parts of the movie. You have a great cast full of people that, unfortunately, I feel are underutilized. Morgan Freeman's in the movie as Clara's godfather, and this is not a spoiler. He is in the movie for about 2 minutes maybe. He might as well be a cameo. And then Helen Mirren is Mother Ginger, and she doesn't come in until very late in the movie. Keira Knightley is the Sugar Plum Fairy, who is doing her best Snow White impression. I mean, it's something we've never seen Keira Knightley do before, but there were a few moments throughout where it got really annoying to hear that voice. I haven't seen Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in a while, but I can just imagine how irritating that voice is. But even though Keira Knightley gets top billing, the real star of the movie is Mackenzie Foy, because she's the main character. And Mackenzie Foy is an actress that is really up and coming, and she's proven herself to be a good actress, like in Christopher Nolan's Interstellar. I might not like Interstellar after the 2-hour mark, but there's no denying that she is incredible in that film. And this movie, she's underwhelming. She's not bad, but I just feel like there's not a whole lot for her in the script to do. But I will say, it's a better role than when she played that CGI baby in Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2. Now, the movie is called The Nutcracker, so surely there's got to be a nutcracker somewhere in this movie, right? Well, there is. It's in the form of a soldier that Clara befriends, and he is incredibly dull. There is nothing about this character that really stands out to me, and apparently he's only a nutcracker in name only. She sees the soldier and says, "Ooh, a nutcracker soldier." And that's it. Which, segueing into the bad stuff, when I said that this reminds me so much of Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, it reminds me of that right down to the generic plot, where the evil villain has taken over the kingdom or declared war, so it's up to our main character to stop the villain in this big grand epic battle. And I didn't care in Alice in Wonderland, and I sure as hell don't care in this movie at all. Not to mention, we only spend time in the fourth realm, which is just a dead forest. The most we ever get of the other three realms is an overview shot from the castle, but we never get to explore it, so that just makes this world feel incredibly hollow. And this movie is mostly CGI heavy, which is understandable because it's a fantasy world, but there are a lot of points throughout this movie where the CGI is unbearably bad. There's an opening shot in the movie that goes across a CGI London landscape, and it reminded me of Jim Carrey's A Christmas Carol. And then there's some CGI in the movie that may as well have been stop motion. I'm not putting down stop motion at all, but the purpose of CGI is to bring things to life and make them look more convincing than stop motion would. I won't say what section of the movie has this bad CGI, but if you switched it with stop motion, I doubt anybody would notice. And then last but not least, the movie does have a huge twist that I could see coming as soon as I realized something was off. If you've seen all of Disney's animated films since Wreck-It Ralph, you could probably imagine what the twist is. So to sum things up, I just wasn't a fan of this movie at all. Despite its good moments, like the good cast, the great music, the ballet scenes, and even the production design of the practical sets, none of that can save this movie from being so dull, predictable, and surprisingly uninspired. And by the time the movie was done, not only did it remind me of Alice in Wonderland, but it also reminded me of A Wrinkle in Time. But to be honest, I'd actually rather watch this movie again than those two movies, because with Alice in Wonderland, I'm familiar with the Lewis Carroll stories, and the fact that that movie just goes and does a completely different thing that's not even related to the stories just pisses me off. And then when comparing this to A Wrinkle in Time, both movies have real fantastical moments that don't make a whole lot of sense, but you can forgive it in this movie because it's a fantasy, whereas A Wrinkle in Time is based around a science and just makes it even more stupid. And plus, A Wrinkle in Time just had more going for it. But getting back to the Nutcracker, kids might enjoy this movie. When I saw this movie at the press screening, there were kids that were really into it. But I just can't recommend this. There are so many better movies out there for kids to enjoy that I'm just going to say don't waste your money on this. It's not terrible. It's not offensive or even harmful. It's just there. It's probably going to be forgotten in a couple of months, and I doubt this movie will be revisited. And that's my review for The Nutcracker and the Four Realms. Now I want to hear what you guys have to say. If you've seen the movie, what did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, I hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and of course leave a comment. Don't forget to support my Patreon page, follow me on social media, and until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.